You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
And we are back. It's time for part 2 of part 3 of our Marvel Cinematic Universe countdown.
Wow.
Thanks for joining us. My name's Jordan.
Or part 4.
Yeah. Add those all up and you'll get to the right number.
I kind of like part 2 and part 3, though. That's kind of neat.
Oh, shoot. I'm Cliff
Wow.
Barnes.
I'm Seth. Hey, guys. Spoilers. Spoiler alert. We're going to talk about, our top 5 Marvel movies ever. And we're going to talk a lot about spoilers. So, a little warning for you. I'll lead off with that.
Thanks for coming back, both Jesse and Jared, to sharing our opinions on these flicks.
Happy to be
Yeah.
back.
Yes, for
You
sure.
know, I was sitting through the last episode. I feel there's a little bit of it's like taxation without representation here.
Yeah.
You're using my opinion, but I
We
don't
are
get a
your
vote.
elected
I don't
representatives.
get a veto.
Yeah.
I have no say in this.
I hired you as an ambassador last episode.
It was kind of mean. I mean, we got them all involved in it, and then we just kind of pulled that rug right out from underneath.
Hey.
And went, no. We're picking the top 11.
Yeah, gotta let the Jessies speak, but then you gotta let the Jessies listen too.
That's right. I'm glad I'm here in person to at least witness it.
That's right.
So, I can't, I haven't been more blessed.
Witness us. You're the watcher. You guys are the watchers.
Oh, yeah. Got the big bulbous head and everything.
So we're up to the top 5 picks. We recapped them all last time. We will recap our picks from the previous episode. At pick 11, I picked Thor Ragnarok. Then I picked Spider-Man No Way Home. Jordan picked Black Panther at 9. Then I want to make another joke about him saying he didn't want this list to get too woke. No. I'm only kidding. He came back with Guardians of the Galaxy at 8. This was a crazy move we weren't expecting, but he just doesn't have the feels for it as much as everybody else. He loves the movie, but it got vetoed by Cliff pretty quickly. And then he came back with Ant-Man, which everybody was pretty happy with right there. Then Cliff at 7 picked Civil War, Captain America Civil War. Big mistake. He got vetoed by Jordan. And then he filled in the Avengers 2012. The Avengers is only number 7 on our list. It's in Jesse's top 5, mine too. Then at number 6, I finally got to pick again, and I chose Iron Man. There was a lot of fretting going on about that, but everybody left it right there. And now we are at our top 5. Jordan will have picks 5 and 2. Cliff picks 4 and 1, and I have pick number 3. The powers that remain. Cliff has 1 veto. And I have 1 veto and 1 veto override. Jordan has nothing. He's flying by the seat of his pants. So let's get into it. Jordan, you have pick number 5.
So, like we said, this is top 10. This is now we're in top 5. There's no wrong answers. Even the ones were like,
that's debatable.
even clear at the bottom of the list, we're like, whoa, that's at your bottom of your list. It's only 3 or 4 picks. It can't be too much further from where you had it. So no
I'm
one's
still gonna be exasperated.
Yeah, so it's nothing that was in the bottom third that we wanted in the top. Like everything's condensed now. We're in a very small window here, so there's not a lot of wiggle room. So anything goes.
Okay.
So yeah, I got it again. The bottom of my list is where Guardians of the Galaxy is. So bumping it from 8 to 5. Let's call that a victory and slot in Guardians of the Galaxy at number 5.
Wow. Why am I surprised by that? That caught me off guard.
I don't know why
Did it
you're
really?
surprised. That is
Yeah.
exactly what I thought he would do.
Oh my gosh.
It's exactly what I thought he would do.
Okay, you're gonna have to give me a moment while you talk again about Guardians. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
To recap, we've talked about this this franchise several times on this list. And obviously some of us have a little bit more love for it than others, but yeah, like Jordan said, he's not a fan, or not as big of a fan of this movie as we are in the more cosmic corner of the Marvel universe, I guess, if you want to call it that. I, however, have talked about my love of goofball, oddity characters that come together and have some sort of family relationship. I love that. That then go on adventures and somehow, against all the odds, find a way to win.
This was written for Cliff.
If you
Yes.
are gonna veto it, just do it.
Yeah, I'm going to veto it.
He's going to use his other veto.
The
This is
double
why
Wow.
he had
Come
first
on.
pick at the slots, and he chose this, and it's paying off for him because he has managed to use both his vetoes to move Guardians of the Galaxy further
Jeez.
up the list. I think that's everybody is
Which-
doing what they do.
Wow.
So at number 5,
So that seems to be a veto that puts it into the top 3.
I would think. Yes.
Because he's not going to pick
He-
at 4.
Yeah, he knows.
So
he's managed to
that's-
do everything he can.
That's a
and-
major veto because
This
it
is a
bumps
major
it-
award for
Yeah.
Guardians of
Yeah. Right.
the Galaxy. So Jordan has to come back with a different number 5.
And to defend myself, I still love Guardians. It's delightful. And so is this movie. So I'll go from Cliff hating me to Seth hating me. I'm gonna say Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I held for gasps. I didn't hear any.
Yeah, I was.
Catching my breath.
Great film. Coming into this, I had Civil War and Winter Soldier. I had Winter Soldier ahead of Civil War. Until this past week, we've talked about Civil War and debated it, and I've decided I think Civil War is just slightly above Winter Soldier. So that's a completely subjective choice.
Mhm.
Winter Soldier might even be the better film. It is a Cold War, espionage movie with a superhero paint job, and it's wonderful. But personally, I like the Avengers-ness of Civil War. I like all these characters. I like the stakes. I like all the stuff it sets up and all the stuff it pays off from free. Like, it feels like a bonus Avengers movie to me. Where Winter Soldier is a terrific film, but just personally, I think I give the edge to Civil War just because that's what I want from a movie. So I have nothing bad to say about Winter Soldier. So I just rewatched it on the 4th of July. The stuff with Bucky pays off in a way I didn't exactly expect. Robert Redford is in there making moves. We got Hydra, we got elevators, we got Cap jumping off planes. Like it's something else. And I hate putting it quote unquote this low, but that's where it would, if I can't put Guardians there, it's got to be Winter Soldier.
Cliff.
On rewatching this one and comparing it to Civil War, I don't think there's much of a comparison for me. Winter Soldier.
He means that in a bad way. He has to endlessly trash Civil War.
No, I like Civil War. I just don't think it's nearly as high as this. Winter Soldier, I think, is an examination of character of Captain America. It's the best Captain America movie. I love pretty much everything about it. I like this movie so much. I already liked it, but going back and rewatching it, because I have not watched it for a long time. And on this rewatch, I was just like, man, everything about this is great. Because I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, I don't know if I really care for that suit. It just seems so far off in a way from the Avengers. That the Avengers movie that had movies that had come out, and the scene in the like you said, the scene in the elevator, the inspiration of Captain America shows more, I feel like, more in this movie probably than any other movie. Yes, he has the scene at the end scene of Endgame, which is amazing, but just to see a character go out and inspire, just the nobodies working a computer panel, working at Shield or whatever, and the infliction of his presence to stand up to the what's happening, whether it's the established good or not. I just think it's amazing. I think it's a great movie. I think it deserves to be way higher than this. And I don't know.
We usually agree so much.
He's just like pressing me because I agree with everything he's saying, except that it's better than Civil War. They're so close to me. It's all so precious to me. I don't know what to say.
Let me give you some context.
Yeah.
I like Jedi better than Empire, even though I know Empire is a better film.
Right.
I get the critics and the fans. Empire's better, but personally, I find Jedi a more rewarding watch, and it's the same with Civil War. I love all the bells and whistles of Civil War, even though I can watch Winter Soldier and even the critics back then said, wow, it's a superhero movie that's actually, like strong thriller action film, like it's a Jason Bourne or a James Bond or whatever. So like even the snootiest critics who didn't like superhero movies were into this. So I get it. I totally get it. This is a completely personal, subjective choice to put Civil War ahead of Winter Soldier.
I love this freaking movie so much, and I'm gonna lead. The lead is I'm not vetoing it because it made the top 5. It made the top 5, and I have to keep that veto. I have to. Cliff picks next. So
that line
I'm
in this movie when she says, or when he says captain's orders, gets me every time. I'm like, oh.
I'm gonna go through it here real quick. Because this is it. Well, I mean, this is Brubaker and McNiven. When they were writing and drawing this, like, I was so in deep. I was just loving every minute of it. Comics were back and clicking for me like crazy. I mean, we get the setup with him running and on your left, running past Sam, meeting Sam Wilson, and all that. We get Brock Rumlow, got the new uniform and the stealthy looking shield jumping out of that plane. I recently talked about the leap of faith out the plane with no chute, like freaking Johnny Utah. Fights Batroc the Leaper.
Batroc the Leaper.
Come on, Capitan. A lot of stuff with him and Natasha, it's like all that spy stuff, and he doesn't even trust her. Like, there's some tension. She's got her own mission she's working on. A lot of fury. He's riding the elevator with him. That's another elevator ride that's pretty good. Like, he rides the elevator with Fury. Fury talks about, I think his grandpa used to run an elevator, and it's like, Cap's like, yeah, they used to put music in these suckers. The whole thing, you got the helicarriers and the whole plot, but the Peggy stuff.
The Peggy stuff.
He goes to the museum. He rides his motorcycle. There's the recap of Bucky's death and the Peggy video, and talks of him saving 1,000 men. He visits her on her deathbed. She's his best girl, and she owes him a dance. I mean, setting everything up. Sam's given those meetings, the support group meetings, and you see their friendship blossoming. That's very well done how they integrate Sam into the whole thing. Just because as soldiers, they have this bond. Fury, is really, this is probably one of his best movies for, he's got an amount of machine gun in his center console. He's doing it all. But you get Sharon Carter, Agent 13 shows up. She's like secretly watching his apartment and stuff to help him. And then of course the Winter Soldier stuff. We got Bucky shows up. He's catching his shield and throwing it back at him, and Fury dies. Dink dink. Of course, the epic elevator fight scene that is, I could watch a million times. He notices a dude sweating. He's like, "Oh, I see what's going on here. Some cross-eyed guy is getting in the elevator." Before we get started, does anyone want to get out? So good.
And the guts at this point to blow up Shield. Like Shield.
Yeah.
They had just launched an ABC series called Agents of Shield. Shield was the backbone. Fury was the backbone of this whole universe, and they blew it up. They said it's never what you thought it was, and we got to take it down. It's like, how is that possible?
He takes out a Quinjet with his shield, just like smashing it with a shield. Like, it's ridiculous. He's a fugitive. There's a one-armed man. It's crazy. We get the setup with Camp Lehigh in New Jersey, the shield bunker that pays off later. We got Zola. It's all great. Then we get, there's the huge fight with Bucky, and the mask finally comes off, and we get like, Jordan, I remember you saying something about your experience when, that was revealed.
Because we're so in this.
Yeah. Like when you say this, when you about the story you're about to tell, I don't even remember there being a reveal. To me, there was no reveal. Yeah. I just knew it,
Yep.
So ever since, Bucky walked on screen in First Avenger in the 40s, it's like, we had already gone well past in the comics where we introduced the Winter Soldier. He'd already been the Winter Soldier. He'd been redeemed. He'd become Cap. So it was old. It's old news. So this movie, they reveal the Winter Soldier's face, and this woman behind me gave the biggest gasp I'd ever heard. I'm like, and my brain was like, "Oh yeah, that was like a secret. Like if you didn't know, you didn't know." I was like, and the movie did, to this woman at least, the movie did it. It hid that long enough and well enough through multiple films to have it work for this lady. So
wow,
good for her.
Well, we get the end where he's just like, he just drops his shield and says, "I'm not going to fight you. You're my friend." And he's like, Bucky's like, "Well, you're my mission." It's like, "Well, I'm with you till the end of the line. So if you're going to finish it, finish it." It's just like, it's such that friendship. It's just like, and he is not going to take this guy out. Bucky ends up dragging him to shore. Gary Shandling gets arrested. Thank God. Fury changes from the patch to sunglasses, which is so cool, at his own gravesite that says "the path of the righteous man." It's amazing. And Sam is going to help Steve go after the Winter Soldier, and that's just such an amazing setup. We end up getting Age of Ultron after that, and which is pretty integrated well with there's like a Strucker after scene or whatever that builds that. But it's just like, this movie is great, and it might, it at times it has been the best Cap movie for me because it's so Cap. It's so this run that I love, this Brubaker run. But I'm gonna accept it here in the top 5. We're gonna have 2 Caps in the top 5. I'll take it.
Wow.
So, you guys have any thoughts? You Jesse's?
I was just gonna. I'm very happy this made it to the top 5. This is a movie. I feel like my boys have probably rewatched this movie more than any other MCU movie. There was a time there for a couple years where like every month and a half I'd go downstairs and be like, "Are you watching Winter Soldier again?" Yep. Okay, cool. Like they were into this movie.
I'm raising them right. I go back.
Yeah, and I get it. It's awesome. But yeah, I just when it's that everyone's in on it. You can't trust anyone kind of movie. Which when that's done right, that's so rewarding. When you're rooting for your hero and you can't trust anyone.
The ultimate bad guy, Gary Shandling. I mean,
of course. But yeah, this did it, and I mean, I agree with Cliff too. It's Civil War is an Avengers movie, right? It just is. So yeah, you could say this is the best Cap we ever got, and I would agree with that. I love Cap and Civil War, but you can make the argument Captain America: Civil War, that's an Avengers movie. There's so much going on. It's great. When my first go through, when I kind of first ranked, I had Winter Soldier above Civil War, and the more I thought about it, I ended up flip-flopping. So I had Civil War a little, just like one notch higher than Winter Soldier. But yeah, happy they both made the top 5.
Yeah, I had this one just below. Just above Civil War. So I like this one a little bit more than Civil War. Just real quick, my personal top 5 has been eviscerated. I have 2 I have 2 movies left, but this one I had at number 6. So really, if this is coming in at number 5, I'm not going to cry about it. Seth just went down through some of the most iconic parts of this movie. And I'll never forget didn't go to the theaters for this one, but watched it on the TV at home, and the final fight scene was just something to behold. I remember it just watching on TV was great. So I could imagine what it was like watching it in the theater. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad it's in the top 5.
That's pretty interesting. We all seem to have the 2 Cap sequels really close to each other.
Yeah.
But they're so different in tone. Like they're such different movies. Maybe that's why it's hard to pick, because maybe Civil War is a great superhero movie, Winter Soldier is a great spy movie, or whatever you want to categorize it as.
Mm-hmm.
Cliff at number 4.
Third time's a charm.
Vito. Okay. Cliff at number 4. Cliff comes with Civil War. I veto it.
Civil War.
And now he has another pick.
Okay. Next.
That's quite a choice.
Quite a choice. Right here, you mean in this spot?
No,
it's
maybe not what I would have expected Seth to do, because there's only so many things left to pick.
There is only so many things left.
That's true. And I have to pick Avengers Infinity War.
I gambled on this, Jordan, and it paid off.
It's a little surprising. That's surprising me. That's how you'd rank them, but no argument.
Me?
Yeah.
No, this is I honestly had Infinity War at 6.
Wow.
Wow.
I had it at 5.
Wow.
I had it at 3 since everybody's
Since we're sharing.
Yeah.
Number 1
for Jesse
on my list. Yeah, number 1 on my list.
Shout out
Whew.
my
Okay.
son Xander. He's told me before this is his number one as well. Infinity War is his
Yes, it's haunted me for a couple weeks now since he said. I said why, and I freaking love the movie. I'm gonna go on and on about it too, but and I agree in theory with what he said. He said because they lose, and I agree kinda, but I also like when they win. Even more. Would you?
You can
Maybe.
like both.
Yeah. Anyway, Cliff, this was your pick.
Yes. Yeah, it moved up my list quite a bit. I did originally have it in the top 10, but it moved way up for me on a rewatch because I was watching several of these movies. I think I watched 8 out of 11 or something of our top 11 here. And I really liked it when it came out, but it just, I'm typically not I'm not a big they lose and I like it guy. I like those happy endings. So who doesn't, right? And watching it this time, well, maybe the last couple times, just recognizing that it is should be pretty high on the list. You get
I got news for you. 4 is pretty high.
Yeah. You get so many characters brought back into it, all trying to send off these again aliens coming to take over. Got to get those stones and all that stuff. It's just really good. It should be way up here, and I think everybody plays their part really well. I remember not liking at the time that they chose Star-Lord as kind of the, screw everything up. We almost had it guy. But then I'm watching it. I'm like, yeah, that is true to the character. Like that
totally
is exactly
makes sense in the moment. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what he would do. He, with learning about Gamora and he's gonna, lose his cool and forget the plan and screw everything else. I'm gonna kill you right here type of thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's just really good. It sets up everything for the, triumphant ending that I love. And I don't have much else to say about it. It was just I realized it's better than I thought it was.
I'm still a little stunned. I don't know how long I'll hold a grudge on this one. Now, this movie, everything you said about Avengers, the original, times 100. How it ever came to be, how we got all these actors together to, except for what maybe Rhodey, every other actor is the same for 10 years. How we tied it all together, how the universe was cohesive, how it made sense to anyone who doesn't have a comic collection in their closet, and people came out of this movie loving it. It says from the mainstream that this worked. It was a huge gamble. It was a decade's worth of putting puzzle pieces together, and not only did they make a good, compelling film, they made a pop culture phenomenon. The dusting, the blip, whatever, like people were, weeping about this, of these fictional characters that they didn't grow up loving. Like just the success of this, the $1 billion in ticket sales. I'll never not be amazed that it even exists, and B, that it works so well for so many people. Like it's something else. It's number 4. That's all.
it's freaking. It's. I mean, it could have been higher. I would have been happy. I wasn't gonna ever move it from anybody. Like it's. But I'm fine with it here. I love the freaking movie. I just watched it the other day. It starts out so, I mean, it's so epic. The whole thing is so epic. Like this whole build, but it's all build. It's just build, and to the end. I mean, we didn't even get Hulk in this. He's too scared to even be Hulk. He's in the Hulkbuster armor, and Loki dies. Didn't think, right. Now we're on nanotech Iron Man. Everybody, I don't love that, but not my favorite. But I did, we're just listen. I don't even think they knew Doctor Strange before this, right? Doesn't he just Tony meets him at the beginning of this?
Yeah, Hulk falls through the roof and says, Thanos is coming and at the beginning, and they're like,
you're embarrassing me in front of the wizards.
Right.
And of course we build, we get that great moment at Vormir where Thanos takes Gamora and sheds a tear and meets Red Skull and has to throw her off there. It's like it's an epic.
Oh, I guess there were two actors that got recast.
Red Skull.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. The silent scream on her face when she's falling, like you don't hear anything. You just see her yelling as she falls. We get Wakanda. Like I said, a lot of people hadn't even seen Wakanda before this movie. Get this man a shield.
Mm-hmm.
Bucky gets a new arm. Thor builds a new axe with Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
Wanda and Viz get separated there. Tony gets stabbed and they have to spare his life. He gives him the stone, ends up giving him the time stone. And the whole thing that she's the only one powerful enough to get the time stone or the soul stone. Is that it? No, not soul. Mind stone out of his head. And like that's really emotional too. Like their relationship, and of course she is the one that has to do this, that has to kill Vision, and it doesn't matter because he just turns back the clock. And everybody dies basically except the OGs, except the original Avengers and Rocket. But it's an incredible movie, but it just builds for me. It just builds and sets up. And I don't want to go Mr. Stark and all this. Like it's sad, and I love it. And but it's just I don't have it in my top 3.
And again, I'm the memories are coming back to me of the aftermath of that, and us as comic fans knowing, even if we don't know, we know, but the mainstream they didn't really kill him, did they? Like there was all this like they got to bring him back, right? There was some doubt that that they managed to do. Like you kill a character in the comics now, it's like, oh duh, obviously. But like they managed to do this, like we weren't 100% sure what was going to happen. That could have been the end for all these characters. And Thanos, I mean, to take what could have been a very one-note villain and turn him into just, I don't know, like again, another beloved bad guy who, people will argue Thanos was right and all this stuff. Like they saw his point of view. They saw that maybe he wasn't just doing it out of evil, but that it was some twisted sense of, pride and honor.
Yeah, so I did have this one top 3. I ended up ranking Endgame above this one, but I feel like the more I think about it and the more I talk about it, I could be persuaded to put this one above Endgame, because I think, gosh, it's just so good. And it's like the whole movie, I'm just like, remember, it's like it's so propulsive, like it just you're just kind of chugging along, and it's like Thanos just keeps winning and he just keeps in. It's like, okay, it's like it comes to this inevitable kind of showdown. The other thing too is, if you like Thanos, this is your movie. Infinity War is your movie, not Endgame. Thanos' movie is Infinity, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, he's in Endgame, but it's not anywhere near. You don't get the prime Thanos stuff. That's all in
Right.
Infinity War. So yeah, if you're a Thanos fanboy, Infinity War is
They're
your
out there, I'm sure. But
I would-
like incredible villain. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Josh Brolin nailed it.
I also, as I was thinking about this one too, I think this is some of my favorite Thor stuff is in this one too.
Mhm.
Like, okay, yeah, Fat Thor is funny, but like I really like Thor in this movie.
What he's like if what is something if an angel I don't remember what Drax is like.
Angel or space pirate or something. Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's all the tragedies like built up, but like I'm just like, when I think about this, I think about him just like crashing down in Wakanda and
Yeah.
just going, off on it, and like, and it's Banner's like, oh, you guys are screwed now. Like, to me, that is the pinnacle of Thor action in any Marvel movie. It's him just wiping out like 1,000 people at a time. I mean, that's how powerful he is. They got it. They nailed Thor right there.
Right after he put his body at risk to get the
Yeah.
hammer to get the one
Right.
weapon, like pulling off some impossible feat out of mythology.
Yeah. It's
That's
amazing.
Like I think if I really dove into this, because I think I like all that stuff like better than the time heist stuff in Endgame. So like I you could convince me that to rank Infinity War higher.
I won't try.
It's just the ending of Endgame is too good. I can't. It's like the
Yeah,
ending of
there's
Endgame.
there's too much in the other one. There's
Yeah.
too much in the other one.
Yeah.
Jesse, it's your number one movie.
Yeah. I mean, I will argue that I had it in my number one just because Jared mentioned they lost. This is like the Empire Strikes Back. This is very much all our heroes are at a crossroads, and some of them aren't even here anymore. What is next? What could possibly be next? We get to watch them compete in this insane battle, only to watch them lose most of their ranks. And I think that's why I had it at my number one, because there is just so much emotion that gets just ripped from you as you watch these people you're rooting for continue to lose and lose immensely at the end. Yeah, man. I mean, watching this in the theater, and it's probably about a 10-minute ride from when we used to have a theater here in town. And my daughter cried the whole way because of Spider-Man.
So it's all dust now.
Yeah.
Dusted away.
It is.
I looked at her and I said, I'm not feeling so well.
Oh.
But
That's nice.
it's
I mean, I totally get that, and I am all about the emotional stuff. Like these next few movies, I will be talking about it, but for me, the dusting stuff was too much. It was
too much for you.
It was too much to even believe for a second. It was just like, I cannot get sad about these people, because there's no way you just took all those characters away forever. It just was too much all at once. It's like, okay, yeah, everybody's dead. I get it. No. It just didn't even ever grab me in that way. I love all of it. I like it knowing it's part of a story, but it's just like, oh yeah, this character and this character. It's like, if it had been just some of that, like more believable, you can't kill Spider-Man and make me think Spider-Man's not coming back. It's.
Can I ask, just in that same vein of what you're saying? I'm curious. So at the beginning of Endgame, when it said 5 years later, were you like, oh crap? Like, cause like to me, that I got that feeling of watching Endgame. Because I think, like you said,
I got it in Endgame.
Like, oh yeah, they're bringing it back. Okay,
I got it in Endgame. I did not get it here. Again, I love this. I'm not trashing the movie. I'm just saying that specifically is the mechanic that doesn't work for me. It was just too much. There was this battle, and yeah, we lost all these people, but we lost them in such like a minute. And
Right.
and
One more thing, and then we can move on to the next one. The other thing that kind of gets me here is the fact that these people are kind of just coming together in this film. They're all kind of meeting each other, and that puts a smile on my face. And that where most of them, some of them are familiar with each other, but some of them, nobody's met.
huge crossover here.
Yeah, exactly. Crossover. Right. So, to watch them come together, try to fight, this is a super team. We're going to be able to take Thanos out now. And it doesn't happen. Again, it's a brilliant move in regards to writing, in my opinion. They did this movie great. Just fantastic.
I mean, I remember everybody thinking Iron Man was going to die in this movie. Like, that was the talk. And then when he gets stabbed, and you're like, okay, he is going to die.
Right.
That was cool. And then that was a really good story point to be like, where Doctor Strange knows that they can't win that way anyway. He's going to make the deal and keep Tony. He's like, in order for anything to work, he knows Tony's got to be alive. So I'm going to give this stone away. Like, that's awesome. All right. Infinity War at number 4. I have the next pick. This is my final pick. Cliff, you got no Dukes anymore. Okay, can't fight it off any longer. I think you're gonna have to let it be here at number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Not even gonna give me the satisfaction of putting on
the
third time.
No. I love this movie. I love it more because Cliff loves it. Honestly, like I love it for the people that like the fun ones, and this is the funnest one. Like this is such a good time. And again, it's like the emotion and the familyness of all these misfits getting together, and just like I love that stuff. This was another one that my friends that never read comics before were like, now this I like this team. They didn't know them any different than any of the other teams, but this one's fun. It's not quite as serious here,
Right.
I mean, you have to say it's a genius, work to use this music. Like it's very, very impactful. All the soundtrack is like,
and make it a plot point, not just a soundtrack.
Right. It is important to why this movie works, why this whole team works. But then you also have the setup to, each individual character, what their problems are. You got Rocket, clearly has been through stuff, and that's going to pay off later. And he's drinking all the time. And Bradley Cooper's the star of the whole thing. Like, he's so good as Rocket. And, we get that great moment, Quill saving Gamora in space, and calling in Yondu to come, like giving himself up just to save her. Like, just like, it's a great love story, to begin that. Him giving the speech about how they're all losers. We're just a bunch of losers. We are folks that have lost things, beautiful moments like Groot revealing he can light things up, like with Christmas lights and stuff, and make this nest around them. We are Groot, and save them and die for them, like in an impactful death.
Yes,
that saves them on this crash. Every Groot we have after this is not that Groot. This Groot dies. Of course, the dance off for the Power Stone. This is the Power Stone, right?
Yeah.
The fake dance off he's doing just to get Ronan's attention, distract him, and then I love the moment of him, holding the Power Stone and just like this swirling clouds of purple and black, and him having to he's taking all this damage, but he can kind of do it because he's, only half Terran, half Kurt Russell. I mean, that's, and then Gamora's like, take my hand. And he just sees his mom from the beginning of the movie when she's dying, and he did not take her hand. It's like that parent stuff, and they use a lot in these movies, and that it's very impactful for me. But he takes her hand, and then Drax steps in, and Rocket, and they're just like that energy surging through them, and the music, and it's just so crazy good. And they win, and you said it yourself, bitch, we're the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it's amazing. I love this freaking movie. I'm so glad it's in the top 5. Like, it is so emotional and fun, and I'm glad for Cliff. I'm glad that we were able to get it up this high.
Yeah, it's so funny because I when we decided we were going to do this, I just immediately sat down and made a list. And that list, number 1 was Guardians of the Galaxy. And then I've went through that list after and before each show and changed it. But yet, like Thanos says, where did it lead you? Right back to where, right back to me. Guardians number 1 was still sitting there. After a lot of debate. And so I am happy that I played both my vetoes. I got lucky enough and I chose column A just because, not because I wanted number 1, but because I wanted those 2 vetoes just in case I needed to get Guardians.
You needed it. You clearly needed it. You chose wisely. Yeah.
So
I don't begrudge it one bit. I love this movie. I was a fan of Parks and Recreation, so I knew Chris Pratt as the funny, chubby guy. So I knew he could deliver a great comedic performance. But then he went and got ripped and became, could he be the Han Solo character? I wasn't sure about that. So we were 6 years in. This was August 2014, the 10th movie. And we all remember the critics and the skeptics, like, how long can they keep this up? They're throwing so much at the wall. We'd already had the Avengers. We'd already had several sequels from these characters. And this was the breakaway. So we'd had the main Avengers. So this was phase 2. We had Iron Man 3, Thor 2, Cap 2. So this is the first time we got away from that core group.
Yeah, this is the first one outside of that core group, and they went as far outside.
And they went more.
They went the weirdest. Yeah, they went so far, and to make it work. Yeah, exactly.
So there was all this talk as, okay, people have come back for all these other movies, but are they really going to come to this talking tree movie? All right, we'll see. And again, maybe what Iron Man did for the start of this, Guardians probably did for the rest of this. Like, it proved we can go any direction you want to go. We can go crazy. We can pick characters out of way deep.
If they ever thought they were invincible, this was the moment. They're well, we can do anything we want.
Yeah.
And this proved it beyond the shadow of a doubt. So yeah, again, I think Chris Pratt did the character justice.
Absolutely.
I think, like you said, Bradley Cooper and all the, these actors gave these misfits and oddballs and characters, even comic fans, a lot of them didn't know or hadn't heard of. They imbued them, and then you got to give James Gunn credit for the script and the direction. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
It all worked, and it could have worked as just a out there comedy with weirdos. But he said adding the family dimension, adding the misfit coming together to they've lost everything else, so they have together they're stronger. Like, adding that layer to it just makes it a home run for sure.
Yeah, and Drax was like a crazy great comedy character, like nobody knew what we were getting. That just okay, we're gonna take this character and he is the literal, everything's literal to him. That's the joke, and it's like amazing. It's just
And they cast
such
a
big
wrestler. They cast a
Right.
wrestler like to
Yes.
play this major role in this universe. Like, who would have ever thought that would pay off?
I had a discussion with somebody about as far as wrestlers who turn actors go.
Mm.
And I think Batista may be at the top of the list. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's
Yeah.
anybody else out there. You could try and argue Hulk Hogan and Suburban Commando.
He's no
Oh, you want-
well, yeah. I mean, I'm not a Rock fan, so I'm not gonna make that argument. But he's probably ranks.
I mean, my goodness, Rock's up there for sure. And I've loved a lot of the movies that he was in. But as far as acting ability goes, I mean, I don't know if I could see The Rock as
No.
Drax.
The
The
Rock
he's a
plays
box
The Rock.
office.
Yeah.
The Rock's he's a box office draw, but as far as an actor, yes.
Yeah, a range. Yeah, as far
Yeah.
as a range goes. So, I mean, when I watched Batista in Knock at the Cabin, and
Yeah.
it's just like night and day. So, anyway, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. The only thing left is, I really I love that end fight scene when Ronan is coming to take out Xandar. And we have, we've got the Guardians, we've got the Ravengers, and then the Nova Corps all coming together. And in the end, it's the silliest, all this effort, putting up the blockade and all that stuff, all this effort and coordination comes down to Peter Quill dancing to distract him while they can get the gun back together and Rocket and Drax can shoot his ass. But yeah.
How crazy is it that these characters have been central to so much after this? Like, they're in so many of these movies, from starring in them to supporting cast. Like, they became a central cog in the Marvel U very quickly.
Yeah,
Christmas specials.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's so funny because
Where would Kevin Bacon be?
Right. The resurgence of Bacon. But when they go to nowhere in that first movie, and it's just this terrible place and full of ruffians, and
By the end, it's the freaking happiest place on earth.
Right. So
first movie is the Dog Days.
Yes. So yeah, I love it. I'm very happy that it did make,
I'm glad. I feel like it wouldn't be right if it wasn't right.
Wouldn't be
here.
a proper
right
list.
here. I also don't want it any higher. So with that, the number 2 pick goes to Jordan.
Picking number 1 here. This is big.
And he's basically picking number 1.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like I had a little in that my own self.
Yeah, coming into this, that was my gamesmanship of thinking, oh, you really want number 1, and then thinking with a limited list, there is no number 1 choice.
Yeah, you're not picking number 1. It's just
Right.
whatever's left.
Unless there were some vetoes still
Right.
around. So I don't think there's too much anticipation. I think it's a fairly easy choice for me. Whereas I would have saved Infinity War for this spot. Personally, I'm okay with Captain America Civil War going. We've talked about it a lot already. It's an honorary Avengers film, so it fits. My top 4 picks were all Avengers movies, if you count this one. So I love the team movies. I love the payoff of all these characters interacting. It is the comic bookness to me that we used to only be able to get in the pages of comics, seeing these characters interact. And I still get joy from that, seeing it on the screen. So anytime there's more than one character I'm like, hooray, look at them go. They're doing it. So I said, any 4 of these movies could be at the tippy top and I'd be thrilled. And so revisiting Civil War, my memories of it were, yeah, okay, Cap and Tony argue, Sokovia Accords, there's debate, there's the airport fight, but rewatching it, there's so many little details more than that. Like the stuff I remember is big, but the little details win it. The mother at the elevator telling Tony, like,
that's in the comics, that's in the Civil War series too.
Right.
That's
so just having these character moments that go back, like there used to be editor's notes, see issue whatever. Well, this is a movie with all that. You had to take all the stuff that had been going on, and it wound up here, and then it only got bigger. So this was like the fulcrum of this whole phase. And again, for a quote unquote solo movie for Cap, it was so much bigger than that. But he wasn't, like we've talked about Black Widow, she kind of got outshined in her own movie with the big supporting cast, and she didn't have much to do. No, this is still a Cap movie. Cap is front and center, but there's just so much else going on that is great. And I am very, very good with it being at our number 2 film.
Yeah, I mean, this has been in my top 100 movies of all time for since it came out. Like, I mean, it's amazing. I love it. It's so Cap. It's so Cap. It's so, and the tension between these characters. Like, I loved the Civil War series in the comics. I like this argument, I like what side my guys on, and I just love that. And I like at the beginning of this movie, although hey, they've got these new Avengers. Basically, you've got Wanda, pushing him up through the window and dragging controlling the gas coming out, and you're thinking, wow, they really got their stuff together. And then boom, Crossbones blows up and it all goes to shit in Sokovia. It's just like, that's, well, it was Speedball, right, in the comics. That who it was?
Yeah,
Nitro.
Nitro exploded things, and Speedball was, I think, like, didn't he like somehow accelerated or something? And
like the
just
New
acting-
Warriors were filming a reality show and goofing off. And
Oh yeah.
Right.
So, but we get Tony, now, and there's just such this tension between these guys, like that.
It is so earned. It's been earned over 6 other movies.
Oh my God. And it's so like my life. Like I really relate to this movie. It's like this whole thing, these guys are, obviously it couldn't last forever anyway, but they're never going to be the same. They were never going to be the same. And they just, Tony's got the de-aged thing with gets to see his parents again, type thing. You see that like reflection of the future, in the movies. And it's just, I don't know. You got Zemo, which is another great villain that is so earned. They don't always pull that off in the comics, And
but his part is so subtle. Like, thinking back on it, I don't even usually think of Zemo being in that movie.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a big flashy scene. He's just like manipulating things, but it's so well done.
Peggy dies. Sharon gives that J. Michael Straczynski speech that I think Jared mentioned in the other episode. Plant yourself like a tree. She gives that in her funeral, her eulogy. This is when we get to Black Panther, he wants to kill Winter Soldier. That's his mission. Cap wants to, find him first. He finds him in that apartment. There's that whole apartment building scene, which is amazing. He's got the, Cap's trying not to hurt the cops, and, Bucky doesn't really care. War Machine, congratulations, Cap, you're a criminal, after that huge car chase and everything, which is awesome. We get Vision and Wanda starting to get to know each other. But yeah, it all hinges on the Tony and Steve stuff. All those lines. Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth. It's like, I was like, you guys are never going to come back from this. Is all I see when I see this stuff now. It's what I think. Like, he does, and the balance of when you are in a relationship with someone like that, the littlest things that people don't mean away, or you are going to take anything not wrong, but you're going to blow things up. Like he's not letting Wanda out. Tony's not letting Wanda out, and Steve does not like that, and instead of discussing it further, he's not signing the thing. He's out of there. It's like they were so close to fixing things. This is the one Cap pulls the chopper down. Like, come on, he's pulling a freaking helicopter down. It's like,
I heard a woman make a noise when that happened too, but it was a different kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like somebody went through puberty at that moment or something.
But then it's again, he gets Bucky's attention. He's like, Bucky says, your mom's name is Sarah. You put newspaper in your shoes. But he's not the only Winter Soldier, We get team up time. This is our Spider-Man. This is the first most important character. Marissa Tomei shows up, and she's super hot. Tony begins mentoring Spider-Man. We got Hawkeye comes for Wanda and gets her out of there. She definitely does most of the damage because she's clearly. I love that Wanda is the most powerful person. Like that. That's so from the comics, and they carry that through here. This is where we get all that great tension between Bucky and Sam. Give me your seat up. No. They're both fighting over who's the best friend, we get Ant-Man on the Arrow.
Oh yeah.
So Scott inside Tony's suit as his conscience. Widow lets them, of course, the big battle. It's amazing. Spider-Man comes, all that, but that's hard to, too. Of course, but we do have the Hoth, Spider-Man Peter watches movies. I like that. He's doing calling out all the
really old
movie references. They take him down like a AT-AT. They go to the raft. You've got everybody in prison there, Clint and Sam, and that's awesome. And they just like hate Tony. There's like Tony's wrong to them, and this tension is out of this world. But Sam does, they still do feel close. Sam's like, you could go, I could tell you where he is if you go as a friend. Best Iron Man suit putting on ever. I love my briefcase. Not an extremist fan. Love the first movie, but pushing a button and falling back out of a helicopter as your suit goes around you, that's number one for me. That's the coolest. And then the build up to this end that I didn't see. No, I didn't see this coming, that he killed Tony's parents. I didn't see that. We'd seen the video twice in this movie.
Yeah, rewatching it, they lead you that way. They lead you there because they've showed the video a couple times. But yeah, I didn't catch it first time for sure.
No, and he's like, hey, I know this road. They're watching the video. It's all set up by Zemo. He's like, he's discovered this, and now this is how he's going to defeat them, by making them have to face off and hate each other. But when, like I said to you guys the other day, when Tony gets there and slides those doors open, like pocket doors open, and that comes in the armor, that is an epic moment. And them, it's been a long, you seem a little defensive. It's been a long day. They're like trying to make up, Manchurian Candidate. It's a truce. Chill out. All the other Winter Soldiers died in their sleep. Zemo killed him. but then we get, I love Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because when they play the chain, it's just such a big moment for me. He's like, shouldn't have killed my mom, stole my Walkman. But this is the OG. He killed my mom. This was first when Tony's like, kill my mom, get out of my way. I'm gonna kill this guy. And it's like, can you blame him? Can you blame him? This guy killed your parents.
I think this is where this movie hinges on, because the first 75% of this movie is a philosophical debate. It's political. It is, should heroes register, or should heroes have the freedom, not be beholden to the government? And you can make these arguments, and then it did a really brilliant thing of shredding that all the way at the end. The fight is not about that. The fight is, you're protecting the guy that killed my mom, and you knew about it.
Yeah. He's like, did you know? Yes.
Personal. And so we took these grand, idea. We're not fighting over ideas anymore. Now it's personal. Is the biggest cliche, but yeah. Then immediately the stakes shot through the roof because I thought you were my friend. As Howard says.
Yeah, that's later, but yeah, he's like, I just love the idea of, I mean, I feel like this has been done in something else, but but I love this idea of go run. Like, this crazy guy is going to try to kill you. This powerful guy is coming. Run, get. Bucky just has to run. Like, you stand no chance against him. Iron Man is coming to kill you, and Steve's just trying to stop it, like trying to get him to be able to get away. But he lets the silo close and just trap, going to trap him in there. They end up, having to fight it out in that one section, and he rips at the arc reactor. He shoots off his arm. We get that shot of the cover to Civil War 7 is just like that iconic shot of the Iron Man blasting into Cap's shield. So I was just like losing my mind when I saw this. Yeah, we get it, and I could do this all day. He's my friend, so was I. Stay down, final warning. It's just like they're gonna kill each other. Takes his shield, knocks his helmet off, and it looks like he's gonna just chop Tony's head off, and instead just knocks the arc reactor out. Picks up Bucky and is dragging him out of there, and then like the shot at the end, just like, that shield doesn't belong to you. My father made that. And he just drops it. Clang. It's just amazing. I love all that. Like, it's just like that. They're never going to get over it, and they really don't ever get over it. Like, they really don't. And that is like hard for me. And like at the end, when Tony goes back to the Avengers compound and looks up at the A on the building, he does. I mean, this is a silent moment, but it's just like he looks up at like, where are we? What? It's never going to be the same. We got Scrody in there, Skrull, Rhodey, maybe. We don't even know. But this is probably the best Stan Lee moment. FedEx, you Tony Stank. Yes, this is Tony Stank. But then we get, the emotional letter that Cap sends him, and it just feels like what a lot of people probably are communicating with their families after the last few years. It's like, I wish we agreed, but I know you're doing what you believe in, and if you need us, we'll be there. And it's just like, that ending is iconic for me. It's like, are they ever going to come back from this? I couldn't wait to see where we were going, and I just think that's why I could totally see why, Jared, you would have this as your number one, because there's so much of that in there, so much between these two of the best characters, these friends that are just like, may never get over this before it's too late.
Ended up at number 2 for me, so I'm
number 2.
Yeah, and I just to Echo. It's like the Cap Tony. That's the central relationship of this whole arc of all these movies, and this movie reverberates. That's the whole Infinity War of like Cap is the fugitive, and it's like Tony doesn't want to call in, and it goes all the way into Endgame when Tony comes back and he picks up the argument again with Cap, and it's like it just colors so much of what happens after this.
Infinity War, you're like he almost calls Cap, but doesn't, but does not. That like that's that movie. That's that where they are in that. I almost called you. That's it. That's what you get.
It's good stuff. I mean, looking at it here, just comparing to where I had, this is like the second biggest difference on my list. I had it at number 8 at one point. Well, going into this, it is a great movie. There is, I'll probably repeat what I said last time. This is a very Marvel centric kind of plot pitting the hero against hero, which is great. It's nice to see that represented on screen and in a big fashion. So the criticism about the whole, it's 8 people running at each other on a tarmac, that can be diminished by everything that you just said, Seth. That's everything that you.
I barely even mentioned that battle because that's not what this movie is.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I can see where you guys would want to put this at number 2 for sure. It's going there. So I really remember enjoying the film and watching it and just being able to see the characters and Spider-Man show up and everybody going at each other, watching everybody try to play off of each other and fight each other sometimes. I mean, it was great. So yeah, I mean, solid pick. Again, we love all these movies.
We'll mention the airport one final time.
Yeah.
And that is the central focus of this movie for most people. But what it was lacking perhaps in action that you may have been disappointed by, to me, especially on a rewatch, everyone involved is there for a reason. The plot is set up so tightly that it's not just, oh, who's free? Let's throw some characters in and see if they beat each other up. No, they all have a reason for being there. They have a reason for what side they're on and what they're fighting for. So, say Black Panther shows up. He doesn't care about any of this cause. He's there trying to find Bucky. Spider-Man is awed by Tony Stark and he wants to impress him. Ant-Man and Falcon have that relationship. Falcon and Steve have the relationship. Bucky and Steve. So Clint and Natasha are against each other, but not really.
Pulling their punches.
You're right. So it's so well choreographed in that way, character-wise, and then B, it's so well choreographed action-wise. To me, that was okay. We introduced Spider-Man there. We had how many Spider-Man movies since 2000? This was the first time it really, really felt like Spider-Man right off the page. The way he swung, going around the legs, the way he would pull on the web and shoot himself forward. They just took poses, backflips and front flips. It looked like it came right off the comic book page, and the CGI was really good. So yes, I criticize away whatever you want to about the lower stakes of that movie, but I think it all works super well. And final thing, the main fight being between these two heroes, that's a very Marvel thing, yes. But in the background is Zemo, and he's captured, and Ross says something to him like, yeah, you lost, buddy. And he's like, did I? And he has that smug look of like, no, he accomplished exactly what he wanted to accomplish. Again, the bad guy won in this movie, and he got exactly what he wanted.
Awesome. All right. Cliff, you get the honor of picking out of all the movies that remain the number one movie in this whole shebang.
We're in the end game now.
Yeah.
It's the only one left. I had it at number 2
Oh, wow.
on my list.
So Guardians 1, Endgame 2 was your list?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had Winter Soldier 3 and Iron Man 4 originally. So this was I don't know, you want to talk about movie experiences? This was an experience.
Yeah.
I remember going
Saw this baby in IMAX in Columbus.
Yeah, I had seen Avengers in IMAX when it had come out.
Oh yeah.
But when this came out, I think we ran to the theater as fast as we could, as soon as we could, to see it. Took the whole family. This was what, 2019? 19 feels like a lifetime ago. But took
End
both
of April.
kids. Yeah, remember taking Cooper brought his girlfriend. And I remember everybody being really emotional at the end. I mean, that
I cried my eyes out.
really, yeah, the ending was, for me, you know, I mean, there was fun stuff there with the time travel and all that stuff, but that ending is just, they knocked it out of the park. I mean, for everything to come down to that at that point, really, even now, I mean, I don't think anything's had an impact quite the way the end of that movie did. But again, you know, starting 5 years later, and you know,
it doesn't start right off 5 years later, because we get to see all these other people that left. I mean, I think we get Clint's out shooting arrows, you know, with his family, and his whole freaking family disappears.
Yeah.
And then they throw that. I mean, again, the music, they play that Dear Mr. Fantasy over the Marvel logo, and it's just whenever they use like the slow songs with the Marvel logo at the beginning, it's just like they're setting you up for, it's like, I'm gonna cry.
I love Tony and Gamora,
Nebula,
Nebula
playing paper
out in
football.
space. Yeah, been there.
The way she reacts when he's like, "You won," she's like, shakes hand like that.
Yeah.
She's a star in this movie. Like, this is the best Nebula we've had, you know. It's like, and her setting him up in the chair when, you know, after he leaves his message and the helmet and everything. It's just like the music, they're like playing the Avengers theme over it. You know, it's just like,
it's an amazing beginning.
Jerking.
Yeah, and then, you know, of course, hey, look who shows up, Captain Marvel. And it's like, oh, this is going to be interesting, you know, after Infinity War. So everything's really cool about this movie. It's I'm perfectly fine with this being the consensus number one pick for our list. I kind of felt like it just might be that anyways. And break it down. I mean,
okay, they bring him in, and he finally sees Steve. They finally see each other, and he's like, I lost the kid. I'm just like, that makes you want to cry right there. Just, that's what you know. And Tony, we
Except for
lost.
Cliff, he hates Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's like good.
Yeah, that's the best part of
it's like, I put that kid at pick 21.
That's right.
Cliff walks in and goes, I lost a kid.
Yeah.
Good riddance.
He's just like, Tony, we lost. And I do like, gotta put a good line here. Rocket says something, and Tony's like, till this exact second, I thought you were Build-A-Bear. And he has a point. Like, he loses his mind. He's still mad and doesn't want anything to do with them. He's like, I told you we needed a suit of armor around the world. And when we lost, you weren't even there, you know. But we're the Avengers, not the pre-Avengers, right? He's like getting smart, and just, that's it. he's gone. The rest of them go out. Oh, I don't even know if he goes. I can't remember, but I don't think so. They go out to, she knows where Thanos is. She knows his plan was to go retire, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go be a farmer.
Farmer
Steve,
Thanos.
Steve like,
Yep.
yeah, let's go get this son of a bitch. Language. They got there and whip his ass. He gives his I am inevitable, and Thor goes for the head this time. It's just like perfect. It was all perfect. That's when you get boom 5 years later. Steve's doing the support group that they set up. Sam's not there anymore. He took it over. Amazing. Ant-Man returns. If it wasn't for that rat, the world would still be effed, but it steps on a button and Ant-Man returns. Finds the monument with his name on it. Gets to see Cassie. And he's got the time machine idea, They go to Tony, can't risk it. He's got all this stuff now. He's got a daughter. And he's like, they built back and now, they can't do it. They go to Smart Hulk, which is funny, this in the diner or whatever. And so that's was a neat idea. I was not seeing them doing, But ultimately, Tony is washing the dishes, sees a picture of Peter, and they can't do it. He goes, figures the whole thing out. His daughter loves him 3,000. They go do the time tests. They're doing those before he comes.
Yeah.
Somebody peed Scott's pants.
Yeah.
And Tony shows up, comes flying ass in his Audi, screeches around, pulls up in front of Steve. Let me guess, he turned into a baby. He's already knows what problems they would have had, which is amazing and awesome, It's like, again, anything between these two characters is like solid gold to me. It's like, I just want peace. Turns out resentment is corrosive, and I hate it. Bring back what we lost? Yes. Keep what I found at all costs. Maybe not die trying. Ugh, that gives me chills. Gives back the shield. He made it for you. I'm just flying high watching this stuff. It's like as emotional as it can get. This is the top tier stuff. And then boom, we're at New Asgard or whatever, playing the Calypso music. Hulk stuffed in the back of that little truck bed. It's so Taika Waititi-ish or whatever. It's like, I freaking love it. Fat Thor, Noob Master 69. That's all awesome, but they don't say Thanos in this house. We don't talk about that, Anyway, they end up, they only have so much PEM particles. We learn Back to the Future is a bunch of bullshit. But I like that they here is how it works. It doesn't work like that. It works like this. And I was like, wow, lay it out. Great. Whatever rules you're using, it's good to know them. Anything that happened behind you happened. I love it. Clint tries it, goes back, sees his family. It works. We're going to do this, whatever it takes, Steve says. 2012, Hero Shot Avengers. They all split up and do all their stuff. It's amazing. All these movies over this whole time, they're using them all that I wasn't expecting any of this. I didn't know any of this. I went after I watched this movie yesterday. I was like, okay, I'm going to watch the Endgame trailer. I think I watched it before. I don't like to watch trailers. What did they show? Nothing.
No,
they don't show
kept a
anything.
tight lid on
Marvel
all
was
this.
awesome at this. That's how you should do it. They freaking did not reveal any of this stuff. So it was all amazing. Thor goes back, gets to see his mom because it's all about that. And sometimes you just got to talk to your mom. And I was just like, I feel that. Gets Mjolnir back. Everything works like that. All the math works. Like, of course, they figure out a way to do that. So we're not looking for this stuff to happen because it doesn't exist until, we didn't even think you could have that. It was not on my radar, is what I'm saying. Nebula and Rhodey go to the beginning of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, right? Whatever planet that is, to get the Power
Yeah.
Stone. But she's on the same Wi-Fi as herself or something. Just getting mixed signals. We get the America's ass comment when they're in the Avengers Tower or whatever at the end of the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
You know, that's amazing. You know, we get to see this scene that we never got to see before. We get to see these guys taking the scepter, and he's like, guys, they look like bad guys. How did you not know they were bad guys?
Yeah.
And
all
this
the
is
Hydra.
this is all fun fan service stuff, but it's also like, look how far we've come. We're looking back and like, look how much these characters have changed from point A to point B.
It's a tour of all the times. I mean, it's awesome. Loki, you know, Hulk has to take the stairs. So it's something they didn't account for, you know, when he tries to get the Tesseract, Hulk bursts out, knocks Tony over, Loki picks it up, boom, Loki series. You know, but Cap has to fight himself. I can do this all day. Yeah, I know. He agrees that is America's ass when he sees his own ass. Bruce has to go see Tilda Swinton, and she's like not having it, but ultimately he's able to convince her in a great way. Strange gave away the time stone for this. She's like, well, damn, then I guess we're doing this. I'm going to give you the time stone so all this can happen. Thanos learns everything though because of the Nebula stuff. Tony and Steve get to go back to that bunker in Jersey that we just saw in Civil War 3 years ago, and he gets to see his dad and talk to his dad like he talked about doing in the first movie. Jesus Christ. It's so good. Steve gets the PIM particles and gets to see Peggy. Nebula picks the time hand thing and the PIM particles from good Nebula, and this causes all the problems. And this time, Vormir, we get Clint and Nat and the Red Skull. Whatever it takes. Now, don't you get all decent on me. And this time, you know, I mean, that whole fight and them going off the side of the cliff and her shooting him with the thing and snagging him, and he has to let her go, like tears gushing. She falls and splats exactly like Gamora. Like, these reflections are amazing. Every beat of this is
I have
freaking
no
awesome.
idea which of the two of them
No,
would die.
we didn't know. I mean, we had no spoilers. We didn't know character-wise which made more sense. Like, I mean, of course, some of the fans would say, well, Hawkeye should have died. But no, I mean, it was more impactful that she did. Everybody's back. Everybody gets back, and they're like, wow, we did it. Except where's she? Holy crap. There's going to be people that die, and not just in dust. People are going to die. You know, they make the Iron Gauntlet. Hulk's made for it. Barn door protocol. The glove fits him. He snaps. Immediately, Clint gets the phone call. It worked. Boom. Everybody goes flying back. Everything's smashed. And of course, we get the Gamora and Nebula stuff. Like, they're getting, you know, Gamora's just like, what happened? You know, we hate each other, but well, she's like, well, in the future, we're friends. We become sisters. And she's just like, okay, so let's do it now. You know, and we get the big three. Everybody else is trapped in the rubble, but the big three step out. Got both hammers in Thor's hand, calling down the lightning. Like, let's kill him properly this time. Oh, it's so good. All the stuff, you know, they're running the hammer all over the place, but when he goes over and you see somebody pick up that hammer, like, I was losing my mind. I didn't see it up till the moment it happened. And I was like, I mean, from my favorite comic of all time, Thor 390, Cap picks up the hammer. It's just like, I was losing my mind, tears streaming down my face of happiness. Maybe the only time in my life that happy tears. Like, it was so amazing. Shield gets broken. Hey, Thor, I knew it. Because he'd seen it wiggle before. But then again, one of the best shots in the whole series. Thanos basically takes them all out again, and Cap tightens the straps on his broken shield, and you get that full shot of everybody against Cap. It's like,
That's that moment when I forget the exact quote of, as long as one guy is standing against you.
yeah, that's
It's
the
not
from the
over.
comics. Yeah, like amazing. I'm surprised they don't say that in the movie though, right? But
I forget the exact quote. Yeah.
that's just for
Yeah.
us. Then the hits keep coming on your left. What is so set up in Winter Soldier? You get Panther, Black Panther comes out, Falcon flies in, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man's alive, big surprise. They start doing that chant you were talking about, that African, Wakanda chant, and it's so like, oh my gosh, hits even harder now because he's dead. It's like so impactful. Bucky, all the sorcerers, Pepper in her rescue outfit. Is that everyone? Nope. Boom, Giant Man, Hulk, Rocket, Scrody. You got the best moment in the entire series. Even better than picking up the hammer. Avengers catch the hammer. Simple. They saved it for this moment. And that's it. That's it. An incredible battle. Too many beats that anyone wants to highlight, but there's so much. Peter and Tony hug. We always had, remember he's just reaching open the door for him in whatever movie, but this one he really wants to hug him. They got the time tunnel van. We got the van. That's how we're gonna fix this. 1 out of 14 million, we win. He looks at Strange. Tell me this is it. If I tell you, it's not gonna happen. Scarlet Witch loses her mind on him. Spidey finally gets to activate instant kill. If you're ever gonna do it. So many moments that whatever. But finally, Thanos blows up the van, puts on the glove. Strange looks at Tony and gives him the finger. And Tony takes the stones off of it, puts it on his glove. And he had, of course, says, I am inevitable. And Tony says, I am Iron Man. Gah!
And the way that was not in the original script. I
No,
remember.
it wasn't.
They had to like figure that out. Like what other line would you say there?
I honestly
Thank goodness.
I was thinking at the time, I didn't even see it coming then. I thought he was going to say, he said, I am, and I'm just such a comic head that I thought he was going to say Invincible,
Yeah.
Invincible Iron Man. That's what the
Right.
that's what the title is. But then he couldn't handle it. He's not strong enough. He's going to die. We won, Mr. Stark. Just gets at you. Pepper gets a great goodbye. She's the one that gets the goodbye. Look at me. We're going to be okay. You can rest now. If you've ever been by somebody dying, like that'll hit you. And then everybody going home. Clint goes home. Pete goes back to high school, sees Ned. Music's awesome. And then Tony's holographic speech. Everybody wants a happy ending. I hope we get it all back. Everything we lost. And it's like, man, reflections of our lives the last few years. I love you 3000. The funeral, everybody's there. But the one that choked me up the most this time, honestly, was when they got all the way up on the porch, and it's Nick Fury, and I'm just like, he freaking started it. He started this whole mess, all these people, by starting this initiative. And I was like, damn, that was cool. Get the Clint and Wanda little private moment, losing their people happy, and the cheeseburger, get her all the cheeseburgers. Cap has to go on his mission. It's like it never stops. This movie just boom, everything. He's got to go back and put all the stones back in place, and he'll be back. Just be a few seconds for us, but he doesn't come back. Bucky turns around like Johnny Utah. I'm like, he's gonna say he's not coming back. But when he turns around, there he is sitting on the bench, old as fuck. Lets Sam go up, gives him the shield. You want to tell me about her? No, I don't think I will. And they get the dancing in the living room, the music. I mean,
That is
perfection. It's in my
yeah.
top 10 movies of all time, period. Like
that song,
yeah.
at the
It's
end
from
with the
the
dancing.
it's from the first
Yeah.
Cap movie. Like
yeah.
that's
every
like
time.
when I watched the series this time in the chronological order,
Mhm.
and it starts with First Avenger, and it's like just a perfect bookend.
They
Fitting
play that
goodbyes
song.
to both Steve and Tony there. It's great.
Right.
Yeah.
They play that song though in the background music on Sunset Boulevard in Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
And my dog, every time, like, I mean, you can tell she relates it to that moment from that movie.
Yeah.
But she listens to that song and all the time. And anytime it comes on, you can just kind of watch her just stop for a second. And then she'll look at me and she'll say something about the song and then kind of go on about it. But yeah, it's become a hit in our house.
Great pick, Cliff. Way to go.
Cliff, you nailed it.
Glad I could help.
Cliff, I had total faith in you.
Yeah, for me, the arguments will never end. This is never decisive. You could tell me Civil War is number one, and I might agree with you. You could tell me Infinity War is even better, and I could pick out examples maybe why that it is there's more going on. It's stronger this, but to me, Endgame is the culmination. It's the payoff. It is all the stuff that built to it, and this is the release valve of it. So I remember watching it. It opened the weekend of Gem City Comic Con. So we had to wait till I closed for the evening, and then Michael and I were on our way to Dayton, Ohio. Stopped in Columbus, stayed at my older brother's house that night.
I remember this.
So it was Friday night, opening weekend, and Justin got us tickets at like the 11:30 showing. By the time
you guys went really late,
and we had a con the next morning, 2 hours away in Dayton that we had to be there.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
So, and the way we prepare for cons is always last minute. So I'm sure none of us had any sleep whatsoever, but we had to watch it before the show. Like,
yeah, you were gonna get spoiled.
Didn't want any spoils for sure, but you felt like you had to. So, and I wanted to. It wasn't like you weren't dragging me there. So yeah, I watched it for the first time in a huge theater in Columbus with every seat full, and yeah, those moments with the hammer and all that stuff. Yeah, just cheers and tears and everything else. And then the next day, I'll say I didn't hear anybody. I don't think I would have gotten spoiled. The people were fairly good, but my biggest memory of that show is Chris Bachalo, the artist, getting something. He wouldn't sign anything for me until I admitted that I cried. Because he's like, I haven't had a chance to see it yet. Is it good? I was like, oh, it's great. He's like, did you cry? I was like, well, he's like, did you cry? He's like, he made me be honest. Like, yeah, there were a few tears. Like, okay. And he's fine.
I've had things signed by him, and he did not make me admit to tears.
So any amount of logic you could apply to this, like we said, I could admit it. I could argue pro or con, but personally, emotionally, fanboyishly, this is my number one by a mile. This is the payoff. This is the end game, and it's always going to be my number one of this era of films.
100% for me.
I can't add much to what you guys have said. I mean, this one ended up number one on my list. I would just say, I think, what are we, 4+ years later? I challenge you to go online and watch the videos of the audience reaction.
Yeah.
And
so good.
And not get goosebumps.
Yeah.
Or get choked up, because
it's so awesome to know we got to experience that. Yeah. We got to be, and I got to be in one of those audiences, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I was sitting right by my son, and I was just a blubbering mess and cheering and crying, and like it's an unparalleled movie experience. And you can almost get that vibe just watching a YouTube video of those crowds. You can get that feeling again.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there ever going to be anything like this ever again?
Yeah, Barbie just did it.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the numbers, we're getting there. But I probably
it's
not
not
for
until
me.
Barbie and all the other Mattel movies come together.
Yeah, when they come
Oh.
together ultimately. Right,
Yes.
right. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Putting together a toy box.
Yeah.
Maybe if anybody ever stumbles on our apostles and Jesus idea for a franchise,
Yeah.
and if there's ever that moment, and
they'll have
Thunderstruck
when they play Thunderstruck. Oh.
No, but I do think that's a good point, Jesse, is that, think about coming off the high of this. It was like Jordan said, it was the culmination of everything. It's such a great conclusion. We felt that, but there was also this was 2019, right? It was pre-COVID. The world was all positive, But it was like, man, where are they going to go from here? They could do, and it's like, let's think critically. The last 4 or 5 years, we've been a little disappointed in the movies, right?
Yeah,
right.
Like that space now has almost, to me, like risen us up. It's like they're never going to do that again.
Yeah, not my lifetime.
Ever do that again?
Yeah, I don't. I feel so lucky to have this.
Yeah.
I often say, that Mission Impossible is my favorite franchise, but not compared to this. Like, I can't say that really.
Yeah.
That this did everything. So, and it ends right there. Everything after is a separate thing. It's still, if we didn't have any of this, that stuff would be totally fine, and we get to see it, and it's great to have some stuff on TV and in the theaters and stuff. Doesn't compare to this.
No, I completely agree. It's something that we are extremely, extremely blessed to have happen in our lifetimes, especially those who grew up on the comics and read the comics, and to watch this thing manifest as it did and the respect that it got. It's worthy of the number one spot. I absolutely agree 100%.
I mean, I just think of the I feel like times in my life were like these setup moments for this. It's just like, even when I look at those old movies, I look at old points in my life. I remember visiting like a relative in a nursing home, and I had got this Matchbox car. It was themed Captain America, but I was like just getting into Captain America. This is like 81. And I'm like, or even earlier maybe. And I'm just like, they're like, what, who's on that car? I was like, Super America. and my mom corrected me. My mom, like, she freaking knows. She's just like, that is not what it is. You tell her what his name is, like, she was just like, get it right. You've been talking about this guy. I was like, oh, it's Captain America. I was like, it's like, and then I got from there all the way to 2019 Endgame, just like, but ridiculous.
Yeah, dude. It makes you think that, like, okay, I am living in my timeline. Like, this is the thing that, this is one of the best things that could potentially happen, and it happened. And I was able to experience it.
There was 14 million different things
Yes,
that could
and
happen,
this is-
and it happened.
And
I'm
it
glad you're
happened.
I'm glad you're as excited as I am, because I am. Okay, well, like I said, I went on long and given all these details, but this was our chance to freaking lay it all out, say what we loved about it. And all those things I said were all the reasons I love it, and can't leave any of those things out. But I think we did it. I think we officially did it.
So thank you, Marvel. Thank you, Kevin Feige. Thank you to all the artists and writers who created all this source material.
Thank you,
that
casting.
led to all of this. Actors, writers,
Pay them.
they did it. They did it so we could do it. So it looks like, according to my math, top film out of phase 1 was Iron Man. Top film out of phase 2, Guardians. Top one out of phase 3, Endgame. And phase 4, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, that's interesting. I like it. I'm happy with that. Super happy with the list. Like, everybody didn't have everything exactly where they wanted it, but I personally, things are real dang close. So
We need a recap.
yes, count them down.
From the beginning, or just
Yes,
starting in the
because we haven't this episode. So
okay, so in the annals of KPP history,
I love our quotes.
this is the official ranking, at least until November when the Marvels comes out. No, we might have to change it. All right, 32, Doctor Strange. 31, The Incredible Hulk. 30, Eternals. 29, Thor: The Dark World. 28, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. 27, Captain Marvel. 26, Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings. 25, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. 24, Thor: Love and Thunder. 23, Thor. 22, Iron Man 2. 21, Spider-Man: Homecoming. 20, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. 19, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. 18, Iron Man 3. 17, Black Widow. 16, Avengers: Age of Ultron. 15, Ant-Man and the Wasp. 14, Spider-Man: Far From Home. 13, Captain America: The First Avenger. 12, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And then we got to the top 11, leaving Thor: Ragnarok at number 11. Spider-Man: No Way Home at number 10. 9, Black Panther. 8, Ant-Man. 7, The Avengers. 6, Iron Man. 5, Captain America: Winter Soldier. 4, Avengers: Infinity War. 2, Captain America: Civil War. Oh, wait, 4, Avengers: Infinity War. 3, Guardians of the Galaxy.
You tried to leave it entirely off the list.
My note, I had it crossed out multiple times.
Wow,
so
the biggest Freudian slip there.
Okay, top 5. Captain America: Winter Soldier. 4, Avengers: Infinity War. 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. 2, Captain America: Civil War. And 1, Avengers: Endgame. And there you have it. Your mileage may vary, but that's what we got, and I'm happy with it.
Good work.
Till we find out years later that he's held a grudge.
Right.
Just wait for it. All right, any closing thoughts on Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole?
We like it.
God bless whoever listens to all 6 hours of this list.
Yes.
Now, how many hours are there were the movies? There's about 40 hours worth of movies.
Yeah. So chill out.
Yeah, I thought it was good stuff. I thought each episode rounded out pretty well, as a, it's not us doing individual lists like we used to do. We've been doing this
Get a little
format,
give and take. Yeah,
Yes.
give and take. A little push and pull,
Right.
but we get
Right.
there.
Exactly. So
And I agree with Jordan. It's more fun when you're not eliminating someone's pick entirely. You're
Yeah.
just pushing it up a little higher,
Mhm.
All right.
So let us know what you think, if we did anything grievously wrong, or if you agree with us at any point, or any detail we may have possibly left out. We'd love to hear from you.
Good luck.
Thank you so much to our guests. Mr. Jared Lowe, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Jesse Starcher, where can the folks find your lovely podcasting empire?
Oh yeah, you can go check out the Source Material Comics podcast, and you can find the feed and listen to either the Source Material Comics podcast or the Unspoken Issues podcast, which is the couple podcasts that don the airwaves there. Unspoken Issues is a 90s centric comics podcast, while Source Material just runs the gamut. Recently, we did the Superblog team up, and if you guys get a chance to check that out, first episode of that is Evan Bevins and I on Snap Material, where we play Marvel Snap, and we're celebrating the theme of the Superblog team up is 60 years of Avengers and X-Men, not versus X-Men. It'd be a long battle. 60 years of Avengers and X-Men. So yeah, Evan created a deck with the West Coast Avengers and went up against my deck that was the X-Force, and it was a live on-air battle. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time, but you also get to hear our history with both comic book teams there. So
Okay.
yeah, it was a
I'm
lot of fun.
Big West Coast fan.
All right. Yeah. Then I would also tell you to check out the other one I did. It was just a solo shot of where it's titled Ultron versus Nimrod.
I have that in my catcher. Yeah.
Let me tell you, it is one of I was just me and Chat GPT hanging out, and I was feeding it information and asking questions.
I'm all about those.
You listen.
I will
wait till you get to hear the AI poem. And
did you add a moose?
No, did not add a moose. However, I also posited, I said, what would you call Nimrod and Ultron's baby? And
don't tell me.
Then we get a storyline. I'm not going to tell you, but you also get to learn what band posters are on Ultron's wall at home. It's great. I'm
excited.
It's a lot of fun. But yeah,
I love
that's
AI.
I have all sorts of fun on that one.
Write that content for you.
I'm going to win a whole other hour on that thing. And I was like, no, I got to stop it. So anyway, that's it.
I recommend these shows. It's good fun. Jesse's a good storyteller.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for your pals at Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast. Enough said. My name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
Excelsior. Live forever. What's that?
I thought for a second, the other movie I watched in my rewatch was Deadpool 2. And I thought for just a second there, when we got to number 1, I was going to say Deadpool 2.
That'd have been funny. That would have been funny. I have never rewatched that. I've been wanting to. Like I want to go back, and I haven't watched those. I think I might have rewatched the first one at some point, but I liked both of them. I want to watch them again. And I mean,
I hadn't rewatched 2.
Josh Brolin,
I
I remember being good in that too. So I want to go back.
He was.
I want to go back and watch those.
Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/YouDownWithKPP for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.